Well, Supreme Court has passed an important interim order on the special intensive revision of electoral rolls that's going on in Bihar. SE has not stayed the process, but it has asked ECI to accept Aadhaar as an ID proof. It has also, more importantly, asked ECI to display reasons for non-inclusion of voters. Supreme Court has asked ECI to publish details of deleted voters by Tuesday, 5 p.m. An important order, interim order by Supreme Court today, asking ECI to display reasons and names of all voters who have been deleted from the draft electoral rolls of 2024, 2025. In fact, their names were present in the electoral rolls of 2024, and the ones who did not find their names in the 2025 electoral rolls, their names have to be displayed, have to be published by ECI. That's what the Supreme Court has asked ECI to do. In fact, all of these things have to be done by ECI by Tuesday, 5 p.m. is what we understand. That's the deadline the Supreme Court has set for ECI. My colleague Nupur joins us with more details on this. Nupur, one of the things that the judges said today is that there's going to be a civil consequence to this. In some ways, they are making it clear that if somebody is losing the right to vote, he or she needs to know why that has been done. The focus has been largely on deletion. Explain to us what are the big takeaways from this interim order today?
Vasudha, this interim order is in fact a big intervention from the Supreme Court. This interim order was exactly what the petitioners were demanding from the Supreme Court last week when they filed urgent interim applications in the Supreme Court. They had asked the Supreme Court to direct Election Commission of India to make the deleted voter list public, along with the reasons that why are they being deleted, whether it is because of death, whether it is because of migration, or whether it is because of duplicacy. Now, the Election Commission of India will have to make this data public along with the reasons, and it has also directed that the Election Commission of India should make the data epic number searchable. That is, the data should be searchable by epic number. And not only this, the Supreme Court has went one step further and told the ECI that, okay, prima facie, the Supreme Court thinks that Election Commission has the right to conduct the SIR. This is a prima facie view for now, that it can conduct the special intensive revision. But the Supreme Court also noted that this is clearly a departure from past exercises. And if the Election Commission is doing it in special circumstances, then it has to follow SOP. Now, what is that SOP? That it has to be given wide publicity. So not one individual is left out unjustifiably from the voter list. And that's why the Supreme Court has directed Election Commission of India to make it publicly wide, give it wide publicity via newspapers, via broadcast, television, and whatever means possible, that how they have made this data public and how the deleted voters can go to the website, check how their data is deleted, and how they can go for redressal. Now, another major win for the petitioners in this interim order is inclusion of Aadhaar. The Supreme Court has said that now Aadhaar is a statutory right. Aadhaar as a proof of identity, address is a statutory right. It is, of course, it is not a proof of citizenship, but Election Commission of India is here verifying identity of voters. So if any of these 65 lakh deleted voters have been excluded from the draft voter list unjustifiably, they must go to the officers, concerned officers, and show their Aadhaar card, and they will be then included in the next voter list. That is the next that is going to be published. So this is in fact a very big win for the petitioners who were seeking this interim order from the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. Nupur, do stay with us, because I also want to talk about the Supreme Court asking for the list of deleted voters to be displayed on district electoral offices booth-wise, and the fact that it needs to be accessed through epic numbers. They want it to be accessible to everybody. But before I come to you, Prabhakar is also joining us. Prabhakar, explain to us the political fallout of something like this, because this is all happening in Bihar, where elections are going to come up in the next 2 months. There is little time even to protest or even to sort of make sure that the process is done properly. How do you expect political parties to react to this?
See, if you talk about the political parties, especially the opposition, who are also the petitioners in this petition in the Supreme Court, they have all the reasons to celebrate, because this is exactly what they have been demanding for. The RJD, the Congress out here, they said that they have nothing against SIR if at all the process is followed and the transparency by Election Commission is maintained. So they were demanding that there should be, the Supreme Court, the Election Commission should give out reasons as to why the names of any particular person is deleted or omitted out of the voter list. The booth-wise display of voter list is what they have been asking for. So these all demands of theirs, and also the data should be searchable. Remember, we had run a story on NDTV itself that few days back, around a week back, the data was reloaded on the Election Commission site, and those were the picture. There was the scanned copy of the electoral roll, which means that the data were not searchable. So you couldn't search your name, you couldn't search the epic number, nothing. So they were demanding that the data, because it's a huge data, so they should be searchable. The Supreme Court have kind of validated all their plea before the court, and they would have all the reasons to celebrate. As far as this entire SIR exercise is concerned, politically speaking, it has become a big poll issue out here, and when the state goes into poll, they would be talking about it more and more. And from 17th onwards, Rahul Gandhi is in Bihar. He is touring the length and breadth of Bihar along with SV Yadav, and making a political show about this entire SIR exercise.
Right. Nupur, back to you. I remember Justice Jaimala Bakshi also talking about this being a battle between constitutional right and constitutional entitlement. Help us understand, when the Supreme Court asks for compliance records from the BLOs and the district level officers, what would that mean for voters? And if anybody finds his or her name deleted from the electoral roll, does he or she have enough time to approach the ECI, because the final list is expected on the 30th of September?
Well, yes, Vasudha, this is exactly the apprehensions that were raised by the petitioners in the top court. And that's why the Supreme Court has kept this matter for monitoring. Next Friday, when the Election Commission comes back with a status report from its officers across the state of Bihar about the compliance that has been done of the directions issued by the Supreme Court today, it will have to answer the Supreme Court that how much they have complied, how much people have been out of the deleted voters, 65 lakh deleted voters, how much have been included, were there any unfair exclusion? So that's why the Supreme Court has kept the matter for itself to monitor the entire exercise. Because remember, in the last hearing, the Supreme Court had very clearly said that even if in late September it is convinced that the exercise has unjustly led to mass exclusion of voters, then it will not hesitate in setting aside the exercise. So that is why the Supreme Court has kept the matter pending with it. Now, when it comes to why the Supreme Court is stressing on making the data public and making it accessible to population across the panchayat level villages, with booth level officers, with block level officers, this is the exact reason why, as Justice Suryakant today said, that it is not concerned about what the political parties think or what anyone else thinks, but anyone, he named one excluded voter and said that if Poonam Devi is excluded, she should know, she should be able to search her name and look up the reason why she has been excluded, and should be given a fair chance to reapply and contest and her claim.
Absolutely. Nupur and Prabhakar, do stay with us. Maria joins us now. Maria Shakil, help us understand, when the court says that there is a civil consequence to this exercise, what would this interim order mean for the voters of Bihar?
Yes, for the voters of Bihar, this will come as a huge relief. There are a huge percentage who did not really have one of those 11 documents which were listed. And now that the Election Commission has been told by the Supreme Court of India that they have to give reasons for deletion, that they have to, in fact, put out that entire list booth by booth, it certainly will be seen as a victory for the petitioners. Professor Manoj Jha is one of the petitioners of the Supreme Court. Professor Jha, how are you looking at this interim order, sir?
I'll tell you, I think I have said it before as well, that when you pass through a dark tunnel, there are times in history when you pass through a dark tunnel, the source of light is very important. And Honorable Supreme Court has proved to be that source of light, the lighthouse, time and again. I mean, what was at stake? Not the fate of any political party. it was what was at stake was the process was disenfranchising people, and they didn't know in which category their name falls. I mean, there was absolute denial, brazen denial from the Election Commission of India, and twice before, Honorable Supreme Court had requested Election Commission to take into consideration Aadhaar, which has approximately 86 to 87% penetration and saturation level in Bihar. Other documents have 20, 22, 23%. I think today it has been specifically mentioned. Secondly, from the state electoral officer to district and to panchayat, they have to put out a list that under this category, so much of deletion, these names have been deleted. Under this category, these names don't figure out. Under this category, these names don't appear. I think that kind of clarity we needed, and this is what I think leader of opposition in Bihar, Tejaswi ji, had been emphasizing in parliament when we protested, and many people from the BJP side ridiculed us, even for our insistence on Aadhaar. I think today everything has been set aside, and hope has been given to the voters in India that your voting rights cannot be taken away by anyone, come what may.
Okay. Professor Jha, one aspect which I want clarity from you, since you are one of the petitioners in this case, when we say that Aadhaar and EPIC will be accepted, does it mean that this will be besides those 11 documents that an electorate is expected to submit?
What I gathered through listening to the proceedings, that this shall be part of the basket of documents which was asked for. Once it is part of the basket of documents, it solves the problem to a great extent. Second, there was fuzziness, actually fog all around, that it was not readable. Now the court says it should be readable, searchable document. It should be physically displayed, even at panchayat level. So, large number of people who are not very digital friendly or with digital technology, they would be able to assess if their names figure out or not, and if not, on what ground. So, they'll be able to contest.
Okay, and as far as the timing is concerned, sir, and the fact is that this entire exercise has not been stayed. So do you see this as a setback for you?
I'll tell you, Maria, none of the petitioner, I would say, on the very first day of hearing itself, it was not part of our prayer. It was not. We wanted a transparent process. We wanted a voter-friendly process. We wanted engagement with all stakeholders. I think that has happened, and the Honorable Court will discuss this matter further on 22nd, and certainly they'll look at everything from today, that is 14th, to 21st of, August.
All right, Professor Manoj Jha, thank you for joining us here on NDTV. So, Vasudha, look, as Professor Manoj Jha, who was one of the petitioners in the case, was highlighting that this was not a part of their prayer. The fact is that the Supreme Court cannot really stay an exercise which is ongoing in Bihar. So, the Election Commission does continue have the right, because it is an institution which is a statutory body. It has to continue. It's a constitutional authority. It can continue with the entire exercise, but what the petitioners were demanding certainly was a great degree of transparency, and the apex court has guaranteed that transparency. And because elections are around the corner, there were concerns that what if the people do not have the required documents. Now that Aadhaar, which has almost like a saturation of 95-96% in Bihar, just about every voter, if he or she has been deleted from that list and is a genuine voter, will find his or her name back in the list because they have the right document.
Absolutely. Maria, just a question which is of course an offshoot of all that we are discussing. When the ECI has been asked to publish information booth-wise, in fact there's a deadline to it, Tuesday 5 p.m. And ECI has also been asked to display reasons for non-inclusion, give publicity in vernacular papers in Bihar, broadcast reasons. Clearly, the Supreme Court is very insistent that this process needs to generate the kind of awareness that people need to have. It's a constitutional right to vote. Explain to us what could be the larger message here.
Yes, so the larger message certainly is that it is about universal adult franchise. It's about that one vote. Each and every citizen of India who is above the age of 18 has the right to cast his or her vote to a party of his or her choice. So that right has been reinforced, and even if that right is being reinforced, the Supreme Court here is emphasizing on the fact that there has to be a great degree of transparency. Because if you remember, only yesterday, when during the course of the hearing, the petitioners did actually provide in person a lot of almost like 6 or 7 of voters who had been perhaps declared dead in the list which was prepared, Vasudha, and they were not finding their name in the 65 lakh. They were part of the 65 lakh deletion. That's a huge number. But Election Commission's own process of cleanup has been lauded by the Apex Court. So while the Apex Court has given the petitioners to a great degree what they wanted, because the petitioners of course felt that because of the timing of the exercise, the elections are around the corner, perhaps sometime in the month of September the election dates will be announced for Bihar. They also wanted to send the Supreme Court has sent that message that there is a need for an electoral cleanup. A revision must happen. So there is no stay in the ongoing process, but at the same time, certain checks and balances are being ensured here.